So, how and why did John Lennon become arguably the most influential musician of modern day music? Let's take a look. And as always guys, if you like these videos, remember to hit the subscribe button and tell me in the comments what you'd like to see next.
I always was a rebel, but on the other hand, I want to be loved and accepted by all facets of society and not be this loudmouth, lunatic, poet, musician. But I cannot be what I'm not.
So let's take a little background into John Lennon's early life. John Lennon's mother, Julia, sadly passed away in a car accident when he was just 17 years old. Lennon was not living with his mother at the time of her death, as she had given him up to be raised by his aunt.
Raised by my auntie. My father and my mother split when I was about 4. I spent some time with my mother up till about 4. Then my father split. He was a merchant seaman, you know, you can imagine, and it was 1940s, yes, in the war and all that. And he left, and I was brought up by an auntie.
This may have contributed to the feelings of abandonment that Lennon experienced, and when combined with the loss of his mother.
And then when I was 16, I re-established a relationship with my mother for about 4 years. She taught me music. She first of all taught me the banjo, and from that I progressed to guitar. And then unfortunately she was run over by an off-duty policeman who was drunk at the time.
This would likely have had a profound impact on his psychological development and his relationships with others.
As a Beatle, every song and every album and every record and every film was a diary of who we were at the time. But we were in the dark about it till later. So when I got with Yoko, we're able to turn a light on in the middle of the creation of it.
Lennon's relationship with Yoko Ono has been analysed in the context of psychological development. Some have suggested that Ono was a replacement for his mother, as she was a strong and nurturing presence in his life. Ono was also known for her avant-garde approach to music and art, which may have appealed to Lennon's creative side.
Put your chin down a little bit.
Oh.
Aren't you one?
Yes. Funny.
However, their relationship was not without its challenges, and some have of course criticised Yoko Ono for her role in the Beatles' breakup.
You've even been called the Dragon Lady, who,
yes,
the lady who brought the Beatles apart and or took them all
Well, she
apart.
took
I
them
have trouble
apart.
with English.
Can we please give her the credit for all the nice music that George made and Ringo made and Paul made and I've made since they broke up?
So, the music that the Beatles produced may provide an insight into ways which John Lennon coped with the loss of his mother. Many of the songs that Lennon wrote for the Beatles contain themes of loss and grief. For example, the song Julia is a tribute to his mother. And then post-Beatles, the song Mother is a reflection on his troubled relationship with his parents. Both these songs provide a window into Lennon's emotional state and the impact that his mother's death had on him.
I lost her twice. Once as a 5-year-old where I was moved in with my auntie, and once again when I was re-establishing a relationship with her. That was really a hard time for me, and it just absolutely made me very, very bitter, and the underlying chip on my shoulder that I had as a youth was really big then. It was very traumatic for me.
Lennon's psychological development may have also contributed to his struggles with addiction and his difficult relationship with others. He was well known for his rebellious nature and his tendency to seek out attention and validation from others. This may have been a way for him to cope with the loss of his mother and the feelings of abandonment that he experienced. So, in psychology, we know that the experience of loss and trauma can have a profound impact on an individual's emotional and psychological well-being. After the death of his mother, it's very well documented John Lennon experienced a range of emotions including grief, anger, and an obvious sense of abandonment. All of these emotions are common in individuals who have experienced significant loss and can lead to a range of behaviours and coping mechanisms. So if we take a look at the first track from his debut solo album, Mother by John Lennon is a song with one eye on the past and another on the future. Heavy with the nostalgia of a man in the midst of intense therapy, it's a faintly groovy and introspective number which stands out for its vulnerability and sincerity. The song is essentially a crystallization of Lennon's primal therapy with experimental psychotherapist Dr. Arthur Janoff. The sessions which Lennon underwent in 1970 required him to participate in screaming sessions as a way of uncovering deep-rooted traumas from childhood. In Lennon's case, this meant coming to terms with his mother's death and the neglect he felt subjected to by his absent parents. This is heart-wrenchingly clear when Lennon sang about his mother, Julia, on the White Album track, Julia. But the track Mother is far more explicit in its portrait of her.
Mother, you and me, never had you. I wanted you didn't want me.
So perhaps John Lennon's desire to share love and strive for world peace was his way of being at peace with his own internal difficulties, and the love which he could show the world could maybe counter the love which was taken from him at a young age. So as we know, this possibly manifested through a variety of compassionate actions such as bed-ins for peace, the track Imagine, his support for the Black Panthers, and his anti-war activism. Overall, John Lennon's life after the loss of his mother was marked by both challenges and successes. His experiences provide insight into the complex ways in which individuals cope with grief and loss, and the role that creativity can play in this process. For many, he is regarded as one of the greatest songwriters of all time, and one of the most recognisable figures for world peace, and his legacy to this day continues to inspire others to work for a better world. So all of this is just my opinion from my position as a therapist, but of course let me know what you think in the comments.